And I didn't know this at the time, but the smoke, the fumes in that quantity, boy, it was knocking people out. I mean,
this is Dusty Reins, and I am looking at a very rustic-looking chuck wagon here, part of the chuck wagon cook-off contest in Hugo, Colorado, during the Colorado State Championship Rodeo. And the owner of this wagon, I know him as Doc
Jones.
Doc Jones.
La Junta, Colorado.
You're out of La Junta.
Yes,
all
sir.
right.
We do several of these chuck wagon cook-offs and catering deals out of the chuck wagon throughout the year. We did about 12 of them last year. This particular wagon, originally I bought it off a movie company when we was working on Centennial and Dream West and how the West was won. They was going to take the wagon and jump it off a cliff in Canyon City. I said, no, it's way too nice a wagon.
Yeah.
So I bought it from them, and for 35 years I worked for Kirkwall Cattle Company out of Springfield, and we would go from April to October, 5 days a week throughout the entire time.
Wow.
Originally this wagon had a bane running gear. We literally run the wheels off the wagon.
I can imagine.
Of course we had to go again next week, so we run it up beside this, so now it has a Weber running gear.
Okay.
The box is an original copy off of the JJ Ranch wagon, and that wagon's in the museum in La Junta.
Wow.
And but it's original made. Everything's the same. Has a divider box in the center for your bedrolls and your cooking stuff. The back of the chuck wagon's got a bin for beans and potatoes and flour, that kind of stuff. The front of the box is got the regular drawers.
Right.
They're really not drawers. It's more like a cabinet. You take the entire drawer out if you got your silverware in it, or the entire drawer with the spices, and the bottom box is a pan box where they put the Dutch ovens, the heavy stuff.
If you'd like to get a little bit closer and point that out, I don't want to get in anybody's way. Would you consider this to be like a trail wagon or more of a ranch wagon?
Well, basically all of them was ranch wagons. You know, there's no specific make, no company made a chuck box. The original ones was on an Army escort wagon when Goodnight started the deal. From there on, they picked out a good wagon.
Yes.
They drove it to the carpenter shop, and the cook told the carpenter what he wanted.
Right.
That's why, look at each and every one of these chuck boxes, they're all different.
Right.
That's why.
Well, some of the things that you were talking about in particular to this wagon, how it was set up and all, it kind of made me think that it must have a trail wagon setup where you have to carry a lot of different things because
you carried everything.
Yes.
Everything. The big outfits took two wagons. One was a bed wagon, one was a cook wagon.
Okay.
Either that or they had what they called a hooligan wagon, basically a trailer behind it. But you had to carry the beds in part of it or one wagon.
Yeah.
The cook stuff, and you didn't need it all together.
Right.
It kind of had to be separated, but
and when you're traveling overland on a cattle drive, back in the days when there were not many fences around, you also had to carry quite a bit of food, quite a quantity of food along with it too. So
that's why this entire front of this box, from the top to the bottom, that lid flips open.
Yes, sir.
That's where you put your 50-pound sack of flour, your sack of sugar, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
The back of it carried your spices, your cooking utensils, and things of that nature.
Cutlery and
medicines, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This box.
Things you want to keep out of the weather for sure.
Yeah. This box down here, it's low to the ground. That's what they call a pan box. That's where you put your Dutch ovens, that kind of stuff.
Yes, sir.
So you didn't have to pick them plumb up and into the wagon.
Right.
Doggone things get heavy after a while.
Right, and you kind of want to carry your heaviest things low in order to keep the center of gravity down.
Right. Right.
Because the roads back then are not level like our highways today.
There was no road back then.
Well, yeah, I was using that metaphorically, I suppose.
This This box here is just a belly box. That's where your entire campfire setup goes.
All your irons.
Your rack from the campfire goes
Yes.
in there.
Yes.
Down low, out of the way.
Okay.
It's all basically rod type stuff. Your tripod for your coffee pot.
Right.
All of that stuff goes in there.
Yes. And what about your iron stakes for your fly?
These stakes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You got to have some pretty heavy duty ones. We was just going through the comment this morning. How many flies have we torn up here?
Yes.
2 years ago, we put a brand new fly on for the wagon judging.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make it to the wagon judging.
Oh my.
Ripped her right down the middle. Poles fell every direction.
Oh my.
This particular fly, we tore it up last week. It's already been through the shop this week.
Oh my.
So, you know, we got to tie them down really good.
Right.
Wind plays havoc with them.
Right.
So, but this wagon is pretty well self-sufficient. It's got there's your carpenter toolbox for the little stuff that you need on an everyday basis.
Yes, sir.
You know, you got a draw knife, a meat saw, auger bits,
Right.
stuff like bracing bits.
And I'm sure from time to time you might have broken spokes or something of that nature.
A lot of things broken.
Yeah.
This is your basic toolbox. Your everyday tools that you might need.
Yes, sir.
This is your double free pin for your wagon. It's also your hub wrench for your wheels.
Ah, yes.
This is a wagon jack.
Okay.
It jacks it up just about 1.5 inches, just enough to clear the ground so it works.
Yes, sir.
So everything on it's liable to have a dual purpose.
Yes, sir.
Your wagon will get stuck once in a while. Your team can't pull it out. So you got to use that theory, if I'm not cheating, I'm not trying. Use a pulley and pull it out and then go again.
There you go.
You know, you're there. You
Yes.
can't call the neighbors.
This is before electric winches came into being.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
In the competition deals, we've got to have a period saddle, bridle, the blanket. That one's got a riet on it. On the other side, it's got a powder horn, a canteen. Everything that you would need to saddle your horse and go.
Yes, sir.
Come to the other side.
And these wagons were pulled by animals, of course. What type of animals were normally used to
Well,
pull them?
on your trail ride deals, your cattle drives is either horses or mules.
Okay.
Pioneer times freight wagons, a lot of times oxen.
Right.
The oxen seem to go slower, but they will actually out-travel the horses and mules over a long distance, say from Bend Sport to Santa Fe.
Right.
They would send the horses first, the mules second, and then the oxen. When they got to Santa Fe, the oxen was ahead, the mules was second, and the horses was last.
Okay.
So over time, the durability, they just play out different.
Okay. Now, when we talk horses, are we talking like large draft horses, or would they use even some of the Mustangs that would have been readily available?
Well, back in that day, in that time, that period, you was talking Mustang, Bronx, you know, the draft horses was something that didn't come out into this country until the farmer era.
Okay.
You know, draft horses don't hold up as well on a long distance run.
Yeah.
The draft horses are made for plowing and things like that. Of course, the different breeds are for different purposes. Percheron horses have a little more gasoline, a little more speed than Belgian horses. The Belgian horses will pull a little harder, a little steadier for a little longer period of time, but you're in slow motion. So,
yes, sir.
you know, each one of them had a particular breed, but in the wagon trip or the chuck wagon days, it was more a saddle horse type horse, but more of a Mustang breed.
Yes, sir.
You know, they might have 2, they might have 4 on, they might have 6 on, depending on the loads that they're pulling.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you next. How generally how large the teams might be.
Well, it depends on what you're pulling.
Yes.
If you hook up and you haven't got enough power, you put on more horses.
Yes.
Just the way history's gone.
Yes.
But we're back to everything you'd need on your wagon. You know, there's your hobbles to hobble your horse at night. Here's part of your cowboy gear. Your saddle's got your slicker on it, your arm cuffs.
Yes, sir.
Your rawhide reata, your canteen, your powder horn. You know, everything you'd need to go and do your thing.
Yes, sir.
On your wagon, you've got your harness for your horse. This is the old cowboy back brace, like you'd wear to keep your back from killing you.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking about that. I'm about at that age where I think I need one these days.
They work. But you know, you needed a pistol to do your thing. There it is. There's your saddle horse hobbles.
Oh yes. Oh, those are great. I bet they're handmade too.
Yes,
well, another handmade.
Yes, sir, they are. Your fuel can for your kerosene lanterns. You know, all of that stuff had to go with you each and every day, everywhere you went.
Yes, sir.
You wasn't going to stop by the loafing jug this evening and restock.
There you go.
It might be 30 days before you get an opportunity to stop.
Yes.
The meals like we're serving are not like they ate. You know, they would have re-soaked jerky.
Yeah.
You know, instead of brisket and
Right.
chicken fried steak. You know, you didn't. Yeah, if they broke a leg on a cow in the dry, they butchered him today. And yes, they ate steak, and yes, they ate roast, and yes. But you got to do something with that. They didn't have any refrigeration.
Right.
That stuff's going to go south like day after tomorrow. You either eat like a pig while it's fresh, or you make jerky so it'll last.
Right, and healthy cattle are money in the pocket, so you don't just kill one, you know, just to...
well, you take care of your cowboys.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You take care of your cowboys. If you need to feed them, you kill one. But the main thing is, if one stepped in a prey dog hole and broke his leg, that one got butchered today.
Yes, yes.
They didn't go out of their way to butcher him unless your cowboys need fed.
Right.
You take care of your people, or your people don't take care of you.
There you go.
The cowboys alone would say on a cow drive, who you got cooking?
Yeah.
I think I'll pass on this, and you're cooking with the crap.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we're all going on that because you got a good cook. Well, that's the highlight of their day.
Right, and if all you have available is hardtack and beans, that gets a little bit old.
Well, you're talking the basic meal.
Yeah.
You know, biscuits and jerky and beans and all they carried on these things was dry good. You know, cornmeal, flour.
Yes, there was no refrigerator.
No.
You didn't haul chickens along with you.
No.
You didn't.
You didn't lead a milk cow.
Yes.
You don't have cream gravy tonight on your potatoes.
There you go.
Because the potatoes
or butter.
The potatoes went south 2 weeks ago.
There you go.
But
all right.
Oh, this other wagon over here, I don't know if you noticed, it had a hide hanging under it.
Yes.
That's called a possum belly. When you get in places where there's no wood, you picked up cow chips.
Or bison chips.
Or whatever.
Yeah,
as long
that
as it was dry and it had burned.
Right.
You get in down by the creek, you loaded that puppy up with wood.
There you go.
Because tomorrow you may not be where you got any wood to burn.
Right, right. And we were talking a little bit yesterday about cottonwood, where maybe using cottonwood might not be a real bright idea if you happen to be in an area where
you burned whatever you had.
Yeah.
But like we was talking yesterday, years ago we did a movie down at Fort Bend, and they had a big campfire in the middle. And I didn't know this at the time, but the smoke, the fumes in that quantity, boy, it was knocking people out. I mean, just they was keeling over right and left from the smell of that cottonwood.
Yes, sir.
And You don't get that with cedar or pinyon or any of that kind of stuff. But I hadn't realized it'd knock you on your rear if you're sitting right there by the fire.
I really didn't either until you told me that story.
There was probably at least a half a dozen people. You know, in the first one, you're like, what's your problem? And right beside him, another one keeled over.
Yeah.
By the third one, they was starting to hit Panicsville, like, what in the heck is going on?
Yeah.
Well, it took the rest of the day to figure out what had actually happened.
Right.
So.
Okay. Now, something I just thought of that we haven't really pointed out is the fact that wagons need to have brakes.
When you originally bought a wagon, they did not have a brake.
Really?
You bought a stripped down basic wagon.
Okay.
Occasionally they came with the DoubleTree.
Okay.
Sometimes you had to buy the DoubleTree and the neck yoke separate.
Oh my.
A lot of the times you had to buy the seat separate.
I did not realize that.
Yeah. And on flat country you don't need a brake.
Right.
But
that makes sense.
That was an option, just like buying a car nowadays. You want a radio in it, you want an air conditioner in it. You know, it's not so bad now, but a few years ago you had to order an air conditioner special.
Right.
When you bought a wagon, you paid extra for a brake.
Yes.
You paid extra for the seat.
Yes.
You know, maybe the guy that bought it's going to go out in the field and pick corn. He don't need a seat.
Right.
Well, back in them days, it cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
Or money was harder to come by, I should say.
Right, because you do have some spring steel here in order to make the ride a little bit more comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, that didn't come real cheap back in the day.
Comfort didn't come cheap at all.
Yeah, so, definitely.
But anyway, that's kind of decked out, souped out for the trail.
Yes, sir.
And got everything you need. You got the bows and the wagon tarp. You know, if it was raining, you covered everything up. If it was a nice day, you didn't need to cover it up. Don't worry about it. It may need to dry out from yesterday's rain.
Yes, sir.
So.
Now, the cookie, or the fellow who runs the chuck wagon, of course, he is not the actual trail boss, but he has a heck of a lot to say in what goes on around his wagon. As a matter of fact, I have heard stories, well, they will restrict vulgar language within so many feet of the wagon if they don't want to hear vulgar.
The trail boss is the man.
Yes.
And the cook is number 2.
Yes.
Whatever you do, do not mess with the cook. You may get a crappy meal tomorrow or tonight.
Right.
He was the man.
Yes. Now it occurred to me that you know, with a covered wagon available to the cook like that, do you think he probably slept inside the wagon while everybody else had to sleep outside?
The cook usually slept underneath the wagon,
along with the cow chips.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I'd never really thought of that before.
He stayed underneath the wagon, so the cook was usually a wore-out cowboy.
Yeah.
That couldn't handle the riding and the gathering cows.
Yes.
Okay, but he was the man that was up at 3 o'clock in the morning, building the fire, making the coffee. Cowboys started at daylight or a little before.
Right.
You know, get your daggum horse caught and get him saddled. As soon as it's daylight, we're gone. So the cook had to have his business done by that time of day.
Yes.
And they'd usually scout ahead of him, show him where a good place, or tell him where a good place to camp was. He might go ahead and be set up and get his fire started. And, you know, a lot of people don't realize you build a wood fire, it's going to take an hour to get it to going where you can cook on it.
Get your cast iron heated up, ready to go.
Well, doggone, go to unloading all of this stuff out of the wagon every time you park.
Yes.
He worked his rear off.
Yes.
So
definitely.
He started early. He was the last man out.
Yeah.
You know, he had to clean up all this mess.
Right.
But if he's making biscuits, he made a bunch more because that's what you ate for dinner the next day.
Yeah.
He didn't stop for dinner. He started all over. Made breakfast. He made supper.
Yes.
You basically ate biscuits and jerky for dinner.
Yes, sir.
You can't kill another 3 hours in the middle of the day when you're traveling.
Yes, sir. That's fully understandable. All right, so we've talked quite a bit about history and historical matters, one thing and another. Let's talk a little bit about today. I didn't even catch the name of your outfit here. Every wagon out here represents an outfit, and we haven't mentioned that name yet.
Every wagons, well, all of these wagons were from a different place. Like I said, we did 12 of them last year. We've got as many as 15 wagons that work for us as Doc Jones and Company.
Okay.
We bid the deals, we put the deals on, and depending on how many people that you're talking about feeding and whatnot, that's how many wagons we bring.
Okay, so you're talking about catering in that sense then, too.
A lot of times some of our jobs are more like a catering deal with the scenery.
Yeah.
We have set up strictly a cowboy camp and not cooked a thing.
Yeah.
So we kind of go any direction that's needed. If you want a genuine cook-off like this particular deal is, we'll set it up as a cook-off.
Okay.
We just did a deal last week that was more of a catering deal. It was a family reunion, once a year birthday party for the family.
Yeah.
We set up one wagon and cooked for 120 people.
All right.
The week before was in Russell, Kansas. We fed 300 for supper and 500 for dinner the next day.
All right.
That was a marathon. We had everybody busting butt, and all you saw was elbows and Dutch oven lids down there.
Yeah.
But and that was more of a scenery catering type deal.
Yeah.
So we go whatever direction the people are wanting us to go.
I see. And what kind of territory do you feel comfortable working?
Well, it's getting bigger all the time.
Really?
It took us 6 hours to get to Russell. We've got another one in Fairview, Oklahoma, which is 9 hours from us, and so we're getting some distance on them too.
Yeah.
But back to your original question, our company, this mama here, me and her, are Doc Jones and Company.
Okay.
This is my daughter and son-in-law, which are doing part of our business too. They're in the business end of it, but they've also put together a wagon. Together we've got 5 chuck wagons.
Okay. Yes, I talked with them yesterday.
Yeah. So.
And as it turns out, I know that you guys are busy getting everything ready to serve the people out here and the food competition, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So I may not get to the rest of the wagons like I'd hoped to yesterday. So.
Back to your original question.
Yes, sir.
We're out of Lahana. This first wagon's out of Lamar.
Yes.
This is my daughter and son-in-law. They're 100 miles away from us in Cheyenne Wells. This is another real good friend of ours across the way here. They drive horses with us and help us on the horse end of the deal. They're about 40 miles south of us at home.
Okay.
The other wagon on the other end is from right here in Hugo.
Oh, okay.
So basically, if we go south, we call them people.
Yeah.
If we go east, we call them people.
Yeah.
You know, we got to save freight for these guys in order for everybody to make a few dollars.
Right.
You know, we're not getting rich, we're not killing anybody, we're not hijacking the committees, but we got to make these boys get some money.
Yes, sir.
You got to buy gas and time.
Yes, sir.
So.
Now, generally, the type of food, do people select various kinds of foods from offerings that you have, or do they?
Standard competition meal is chicken fried steak.
Well, when you do a catering thing.
A catering deal, it's up to you.
Okay.
Last week we served brisket and fried potatoes and beer bread and peach cobbler.
Okay.
When we went to Oklahoma the week before that, we had chicken fried steak one day, mashed potatoes and gravy. The next day we had pulled pork.
Yeah.
Part of that was a quantity feed, though. We had to do something that we could cook. But chicken fried steak, brisket, that kind of stuff is
Okay.
usually what we make, and then mashed potatoes, fried potatoes, beans,
Okay.
homemade bread, and cobblers.
All right. Well, Doc, you gave me your information yesterday. I am going to add that in the description below this video.
Okay.
So that if people are interested in learning more about your offerings, or they want to hire you, or have questions of you, well, then they've got your contact information.
You
They'll be able
betcha.
to contact you.
719-469-3030.
All right. Well, thank you very much for
You're more than
spending
welcome.
time with me. And
You betcha.
best of luck on the competition today. I'll be back around as people are being served, hopefully, and I'll get a few comments from them, I hope.
Yeah. This afternoon's meal is 3:30 because of the ranch rodeo. We got to be done
Yes.
serving so they can go on with the ranch rodeo.
Yes.
The judging, 10 minutes prior to serving time, we'll collect serving plates from all the wagons and go to the judges.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't tell you is each and every wagon here is an original wagon.
Yes.
So they're all the real deal.
Yes, sir. That's great. Yeah, I'll be covering the Jeremiah Ward Memorial bronc riding competition right before I come back over here. Because at about that time, I think people are going to be served.
I don't know
Judges
which is better, a good bronc riding or a good eating.
Well, I like both.
It's pretty tough competition.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, thank you once again.
You betcha. Thank you.